Girl, we are back. I
We
think.
are back. Yes, I think so.
Uh, I swear. All right. So if you didn't know, we are live streaming, and what could go wrong did, because I was spending so much time on this cute little slideshow and didn't work out the microphone. And yes, this is why you have dry runs. This is why you have backups of backups of backups of backups, and we all know this. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce one Mr. Curtis Atchison, or should I say DJ Curtis Atchison, aka Midnight Society. And he has graciously agreed to come on the show with me today and talk shop. And yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun. So how was your day?
Oh, girl.
Now that we can hear you.
now that I can hear you, and I don't have to hear my voice coming back at me. It's wonderful. It's great.
Good. Awesome. So, yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. I wanted to start off by doing kind of a little refresher course on streaming DJ sets on Twitch and pretty much any other place you want to, really, but we're going to focus on Twitch. Not necessarily to kind of give people like a top-down view of like how everything works, but to give kind of like, all right, we're now how many months into this? Like 18 months or so. Like, what are the, tips and tricks? Like, what are the things that, we have learned and that I think people want to know, how do I shortcut it? Right.
Exactly. I mean, my God. I mean, I'm thinking about all the times I've been playing with streaming for so many years, but that was just like on and off, and I remember all the mistakes I made back then. And then the pandemic, like that goes back to like starting with March of 2020. So like, we've been streaming for almost 2 years here, whether it be on Facebook or on Twitch or wherever it is. And like
Mixcloud now, you've got your Mixcloud.
Exactly.
I've got my little 18-month badge on your stream now. I'm so happy. I'm like, yeah, girl, yes, I got me. I don't even know what that is anymore. It's like, I don't even know. Like sometimes Twitch comes out with these like badges and these then now they have the follower badge or follower emotes and things like that. I'm still trying to catch up. So,
oh yeah, that's changing. Something's changing every day on these platforms.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, you actually, I feel like I'm echoing. Hello, can you hear me now? Let me turn that down. All right. So you actually just started a kind of a new exciting job. So I'm hoping that you are able to sprinkle in a few insider tips and tricks from your job.
Well, I can give, I can't spill too much tea. Only because, like, I just got the job. I don't want to lose it right away. But anyhow, I am now an associate product manager for In Music Brands. I think most people do know what that company is, but if they don't, they represent over 20 different audio, video, lighting, and music brands and things. I'm sure you probably have known, like from M Audio to Newmark to Denon to Rain to Alessis, Alto, Ion. The list goes on and on. They own a lot of different brands. And
I've got at least one product from each of those brands.
I mean, if you've been DJing for the last 20 years, you've come across all of these names easily, without a doubt. Especially if you produce music, I think anyone here would probably have a pair of M Audio something in their house. Oh, at least one thing.
I do. I've got at least one like audio, like not a controller. What is it called? The USB interface.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, things are actually very exciting right now because, like, I mean, of course, the big news that recently happened earlier, I think it was early this week. Pioneer came out with a brand new DJ controller called the Rev 7, and that was a direct response to a controller that Rain did last year called the Rain 1, which is basically something that the hip-hop DJs have been going nuts for because it's a portable controller with rotating platters, and they're the closest thing to turntables at that size than actual turntables. So people went nuts with it. And of course, Pioneer was just like, oh, well, no, we got to like get our say in this. And they did the Rev 7. And a lot of people have been talking about that over the last couple of days because it's the hot new one. So there's already plans in the works for an answer. And yeah, I've seen, Mama has seen things. It's going to get very exciting because on top of all the things that's going on there, they're starting to learn that like not every DJ is a hip hop DJ. So they're starting to actually embrace us house DJs now. I'm making an emphasis of saying scratching is cool. We all know scratching is like a thing, but you got to think about some of the other DJs out here and their needs, what they want for effects, what they want to be able to do when they perform. And they're not all trying to be Jazzy Jeff. As fierce as he is, we're not all trying to be him. You know, there can only be one anyhow.
True story. And there can only be one of us, period. And I feel like, you know, one of the other things that I don't really quite understand is the preponderance to go towards like battle mixers. Like how many like channels do you need, girl? Like, I mean, so yeah, I'm excited and scared at the same time because like, you know, I you know, over the past few years with all these like all-in-one mixers and kind of the quality of these devices has gone down. I mean, speaking from my own experience, like, you know, I'm sitting here on, what is this? A DDJ 200, I think, or something like that. Because my XDJ XZ completely shit the bed. Like, just won't even start up. So now I've got to spend $300 and I'm like, should I do that? Or should I just, you know, bite the bullet and get the 3000s or something like that? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's going to be something that a lot of people are starting to think about, especially after, you know, it's gone to all-in-one and now it's going back to these like mixer and CDJs and so on.
Well, there's a lot of different options. That's the wild thing about it. I mean, I think a lot of things haven't. A lot of people thought like, you know, there were standards with like a lot of this stuff, and for a while there was, but now that, you know, all those standards are based on what you do in nightclubs and bars. So when the nightclubs and bars stopped having gear, like, you know, we used to remember, you used to go there in the 90s. There was always turntables.
Yep.
And then you used to go in there at some point, there was already your CDJs ready to go. But then at some point when controllers became a thing, clubs and bars started acting like, you know, we don't have to have gear anymore, which is kind of tired, but it kind of forced us to come up with our own solutions to provide music. They just provided you a couple of cables, plug into here, and hopefully you'll make some noise. So
and try to do that in the middle of somebody else's set. Like that kills me. It's like, how am I gonna like, anyway.
Exactly. So like the whole idea of like standards, I mean, we could still base them on like what we were doing in clubs 10, 15, 20 years ago. Or we could like look and see that like there's all these newer things and newer ways of doing it that can make things very interesting. And yeah, that's the crazy part about it. Like Mama has seen things. It's gonna get real cute really fast.
Well,
and I know that, like, you know, when InMusic does something, I know Pioneer is going to do something. Hercules is going to do something. They all are going to respond to one another. So things are going to just get going very quickly.
Well, the last thing I'll say on this is like, how do you feel they're positioned in the market in relevance to Pioneer? Because in my career, my short career, I mean, compared to you and others that we know, it's Pioneer has been sort of like the market dominator, and the market moves with Pioneer. So I'm kind of wondering, like, you and I have spoken, and like, you know, without telling me any details, you've told me that there have been some really exciting things that you've seen in your office, and I'm excited for you, and I'm also excited to see them like possibly come on your stream at some point. But like, you get so excited about that, but like, you know, what's the reality of it moving the market in their direction and taking that pie away from Pioneer as the club standard?
Well, that's the thing. It may not necessarily just be about club standards anymore. I mean, because we're doing all these live streams right now, and you've seen it. Like, there are people right now who are live streaming for crowds larger than any festival that you could think of. And it's
Mhm.
like, every time he or she goes on, there's 4,000, 5,000 people in their chat. And it's like, are you going to go and tell that person to like go to a club, go to a bar and spin for 150 people?
Absolutely
Probably
not.
not. They probably aren't going to do that because they can do much more from wherever they set up, whether if it's at their home or if they do it remotely from some other location.
Mhm.
And then at that point, the gear changes. You don't
Mhm.
always have to get Pioneer gear to do streams like this. And in
That's
fact,
right.
Newmark right now has a piece. I mean, they have the Denon Go Prime, which they've been pushing for a bit. They also Newmark even has a piece called the Mixstream Go,
Mhm.
the Mixstream Pro. You can actually do almost everything from there, and they're standalone controllers. At that point, you just point a camera to yourself through your cell phone and make sure the audio goes through it, and then boom, you can perform anywhere.
That's right.
And we're talking about like controllers like the Newmark piece. That's like a $600 controller with
Mhm.
built-in speakers, so you don't
Right.
even have to worry about bringing a sound system with you. Plug in, and you can set up anywhere. You'd be on the edge of Niagara Falls as long as you got the hot Wi-Fi there, and be like, look at me, I'm turning it out like this. I'm getting ready to go over in a barrel, and everyone's going
Yes,
nuts.
girl. Just don't end up in that car, girl. They pulled that girl out. I was like, not her, not
Yeah.
her with the okay. Um, don't go into Niagara Falls with your Honda Civic, girl. Stop it. I
Ever.
mean, Evo. And now that Verizon has just released and AT&T as well, this whole ultra wideband, and it's everywhere except the airport. Don't go to the airport. But that's going to open up a whole slew of things, that wasn't available before.
Yeah, last year, I was doing a family vacation, and even just off of my cell phone using 5G, I was able to withstand a strong enough connection to do live streams from various
Mhm.
places in Vermont. And most of Vermont, unless you go to major cities, are not anywhere close to 5G. They're still on like a 4G standard if they're barely getting there. So, your cell phone can provide yourself enough power to do at least a 720, if not a 1080 stream for audio and
Mhm.
video. So ultra wide is just going to make things even more accessible to everyone. And
Exactly. Yeah, the mobile phone is the least common denominator right now. Even most people can't stream more than 1080p, and we'll get into this in a bit, and actually in a few minutes. You can't stream more than 720p without having to worry about, are my mobile visitors able to see the stream, and is it choppy for them or whatnot? Because they're not going
right.
to tell you. That's the thing. Because we could have been talking for 20 minutes with no audio, girl, and nobody would have told us.
No one said a thing.
Nada. All
We
right,
could be just carrying on ourselves and like thinking everything is all wonderful. No one's hearing anything.
girl. Okay. So without further ado, let me go through my little presentation. I spent about 2 hours on it. And it's gonna be a lot of the same old for you and I. But for a few people who DJs, especially who have had their gigs canceled the past few months, are slowly but surely realizing that Twitch is going to come back, and I've got to get a refresher. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that. All right, so basically, if you want to stream on Twitch, you've got two of the probably the more on the more bright side, I would say. That last phrase notwithstanding, when it comes to streaming. So let's go ahead and talk about the basics. And Curtis, feel free, by the way, to chime in at any point, give a little feedback, tell me I'm wrong, give your side of the story. So let's start with basics first. What do you need to stream? The bare bones, like no, extra graphics, no nothing. You need 10 megabits per second of upload to stream at that gold standard, which is the 1080p 60. You need to also figure out where your closest Twitch ingest server is. The link is right here if you want to look at that. You need a one camera. You need a DJ controller, or like Curtis was going into, if you're a turntable-ist, go ahead and get those turntables out with a mixer. You need a microphone because your audience is going to want to know that you're, engaged. Although Curtis, I mean, I don't know. I've seen a few people like that one guy who does that, really hard techno streams from Berlin, doesn't talk at all.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there are some streamers who are out there who don't engage at all. But then, at that point, a lot of those streamers already have like huge crowds. They got teams. They got a whole bunch of other things going. At the very beginning, like it would make almost no sense to just get up there and stream and not say a word to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
People kind of need to know who's on the other end, and they want to be able to engage with them, even if it's just like an avatar of you, like a computer avatar. If there's got to be some sort of life on the other end besides just music and visuals, and that's how your stuff grows.
That's right. And, I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I started to get, a few other DJs who weren't like quite comfortable talking on a microphone. They spent 20 years basically saying, unplug that mic from the back of the mixer. I'm never going to use it. So, you know what I'm saying? So trying to get them acclimated to doing that. And there's still, some of them, they're still are not comfortable, 100% with it.
Oh God, like I bumble my words all the time, and I think I just kind of made that a part of the show. I mean, I kind of treat my stream more like it's a college radio program and not an actual broadcast.
Did you
You
do
know,
that back in the day? Were
yeah,
you? Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So,
Back in the '90s, I did. I was doing a lot of college radio up here in Boston back in the '90s. I was
mhm.
on 91.7 WMWM in Salem State College Radio. Like I did that, and then you get connected to a bunch of other colleges, and there's tons of them here in Boston. So that gives you good access to great stations. And our FM radio, like on weekends, sounded fierce because like you're playing hip hop, you're playing house, you're playing techno, you're doing all sorts of different things. But that's how I got used to speaking with a microphone. I mean,
Mhm.
otherwise I would never be doing it at all. Like I'd be just like a lot of other people are like, hi, what do you do? But I think that kind of goes with the stream as well, because if they realize that you're not like perfectly polished and you make mistakes, people
Yes.
actually kind of embrace that on Twitch. It's like, oh my god, you're a human being, and
They
like
reward that. They reward that. They'll give you more like subscriptions. They'll give you bits or whatever just to make up for the fact that you feel like an idiot after like, yeah,
yeah,
I've seen that happen.
oh yeah,
Um, all right. So then also, you need a computer that's capable of encoding the stream. So Curtis was kind of going into this a few minutes ago, which is like, this is becoming less and less of a problem. Like if you want to get creative, you can even stream using your phone. Like that's it.
hmm
So, we'll get into that a little bit later in the advanced section. But this has been like 19 fucking months. This is how long that I've personally, and Curtis too, we've been tirelessly iterating and trying to perfect this, streaming setup. And I mean, for me especially, I have been trying to dwindle down the amount of shit that is piling up around me. Um,
oh my god, yeah,
yeah, like the
definitely.
cables and girl, the cables.
Cables, wires, computers, like literally like trying to figure out the right combination of like, is it going to be one computer? Do you want to do
Mhm.
a dual computer setup? Do you want to do this? But all these things that we'll talk about throughout the string is like there's no wrong way to do it, but there's probably a bazillion wrong ways to do it. But like there's no perfect way to do it either. So
That's right.
it's constantly changing because the technology changes. So once you get your setup and then it works, you can guarantee within 4 to 6 months you're going to be turned on. You're going to be turned out by something you want to try, or it's going to be another system update, and you're going to have to like start reconfiguring again.
Mhm. And I mean, you and I think we kind of share this inkling to try things out. When
Mm-hmm.
something new comes around or, new tech comes out, we just feel like we want to try it. I know a lot of DJs are on the opposite. They're just like, oh crap, something else I've got to learn, or something else I've got to try to pick up, or, something's changed on me. Like, that is scary. And I can understand that, iterating is not necessarily fun. But we've picked up a few tricks along the way.
And that means actual tricks regarding computers, not that we've been going to Hollywood and Vine.
I don't
trying it
know.
out.
I don't know. Oh, girl. All right. I mean, so my first trick is called tools, tools and software. And so I basically thought, oh my God, what are the things that probably nobody else uses or knows about or knows that they can kind of use to make their stream better? And these were the few that I came up with. So these are all either free or low cost. And they all can help in certain ways. So I'll just run through them real quick and tell you what they are and not necessarily how they help. So Davinci Resolve is a kind of a video editing software that's for free. Okay. It's not Final Cut Pro. It's not Adobe. You can download it for free right now and edit your videos. So if you record your videos on Twitch, you can repurpose them later on YouTube or on Facebook and market yourself a little bit easier. There's Luminant Music. So if earlier in the pandemic, I was actually doing some visuals that went to the music. And it allows you to actually add an overlay on top of it. So like a logo or something like that, which is pretty cool. NDI, which I know, Curtis, you have some experience with too.
Yes, NDI. Yes.
Ooh,
that's saved me a lot of time here in the studio, because I do a multi-camera setup. I have 5, if not sometimes 6 cameras running at one point. And literally NDI saved my walls from looking like nothing but cables. It really did.
Cables, and also, I mean, a lot of people don't know, but NDI actually doesn't bog down your computer as much. The USB bus, this is really nerdy, but it doesn't have to go through that same thing. So it's a little bit easier on your computer. So just a little FYI there. The Sonobus. So I don't know if y'all remember, but DJ Deanne and Susan Estera, by the way, still don't freaking know how they did it. But one possibility that I concocted was this tool called Sonobus. So an easier use case for it than what they did. Let's say, for instance, you've got a laptop here that you need to use to kind of stream from, but you have all your music or something on another computer. Well, you can route that audio to your streaming computer and pretty easily get all that sound into your stream. There's Parsec. So Parsec is sort of like screen sharing, but on steroids. So really low latency. You can actually do video editing across the country with Parsec. It's that powerful. Also free. There's also Camo. So if you are struggling to find a camera that looks as good as a DSLR camera or a mirrorless camera, well, if you've got an iPhone, you've got a $1,500 4K camera sitting in your pocket. And Camo is that tool that will allow you to do that if you just plug in the USB.
If you have a whole bunch of old phones, between that plugin and NDI tools, you can make all of those old cell phones into cameras that you can put in so many different positions and use in your stream. Yes. The camera's here, the camera's there.
Flash. I didn't mean to do that. The last one that I'll talk about, the last two are Pixelmator Pro, which is kind of like a cheap poor man's Photoshop, but it's actually more powerful these days. A lot of the AI or the machine learning on there, it can help you remove backgrounds. You can make graphics, etc. For your streams on the cheap. And the one that I feel like is probably the most powerful, and I know that I think you use this too, Curtis, which is Resolume.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I love Resolume. I mean, it's not free. I mean, if you do use it for free, what happens is every so often you'll get like a little watermark
Resolume.
that just it'll just like announce what you're using. Resolume, like do some like robotic voice or whatever it is. But you can actually use the tool. And I mean, and it costs a couple $100 to actually have Avenue. You probably will never need Arena. That costs way too much money anyhow. But you can do some very, very twisted visual things with Resolume. And I
Mhm.
know there's some DJ programs that are actually integrating Resolume right now. And like for instance, I can already tell you that like Denon, one of the companies from InMusic, are like
Ooh.
making controllers, their DJ controllers, compatible with Resolume, so you can actually like do visuals. And they also going to be working with Sound Switch to control lights as well. So you can do all of that
Wow.
from your DJ controller in the software. So there's
Okay.
a lot. They already have a couple of controllers that can do that right now, like the Prime 4, which is already out, that can do
Mhm.
that now. And over time, it's going to get even more sophisticated. So yeah,
Do
we're
you know?
as
Do you know if Zaya got her Prime 4 yet? I wonder how she likes it.
I'm not sure, but I kind of hope she does get it.
Yeah, she's been super excited about that for a while, so I hope she does.
Yeah.
All right. Before I move on, actually, I wanted to ask: was there any other software that I'm missing from this list that maybe not necessarily like OBS, like the obvious ones, but like something that you might use on on a normal streaming basis?
On a normal streaming basis, well, I have there. I mean, there's a program called Photomosh Pro that
Hmm.
I actually use on the Macintosh side, and that's allowed me to create some really, really cool, funky graphical things that I can do with green screen behind it.
Hmm.
You're able to actually set your background with green screen, and then you can either take an image or a text or whatever you want onto it. And there's a variety of different filters that can either make it shake or quiver or rotate. I mean, it does those types of animations very quickly. You can combine a bunch of them that come up with whatever type of textures you want. Then you can bounce them out with the green screen behind it, or if you want to do it black, if you want to do a black, if we want to do Luma screen.
Hmm.
And then when you bring those elements and those videos into OBS, you put the appropriate filter on it, and then that's how you get those graphics. That's how I do like the glitch graphic that I do on my stream was created on Photomosh.
Nice,
So
nice. I
it's
actually love that, and I'm in the next slide. We're going to talk about like websites or like sites, and let's just go to it. So, essential websites and subscriptions, things that you should probably have, like they're like tools that are on a website, right? This is just a big old list of ones that I have bookmarked, and I'll just point a few of them out. Envato is hands down probably one of my favorite. And
mhm,
actually, I'm missing one here. Canva. I think Canva is another one of my favorites. It's probably the thing that I use the most to make my graphics. Um,
mhm. It's
uh,
very quick place to get like very quick assets, very good quality, and a great place to just start. And then from there, you can just use some of the other tools to just enhance them even further to personalize them.
or even just like inspiration, honestly. You
Mhm.
know, Envato has so much crap that like they have like 3D objects. I don't know if you remember, and we're going to go into a few of. I have a few screenshots I want to share with like some of my more um, elaborate, I would say, like green screen setups. And I'm going to kind of
Mhm.
point out like where I got certain things. So it's like that is definitely a place to go. OBS
Definitely.
Ninja, don't use that shit. Ew. Um, Restream 100%. I would say is definitely probably one of my favorite tools ever since about the middle part of the pandemic. I realized everybody was streaming on Twitch, but there were other places I wanted to do Mixcloud. Right. I wanted to do Facebook for I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. Um,
Mhm.
but there were some other places as well, and especially like these just chatting streams or the how-to streams. I wanted to, branch out. So basically, it allows you to go all these places, and you only have to stream to one place, which saves your bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
and I think probably the other big one here for me. is, obviously Stream Elements or Streamlabs. You've got to have one of those, right? You've got
Exactly.
the bots.
The bots, the overlays, the way they can organize everything. I mean, it's just a quick way to organize so much of the basic stuff you need for your streams, especially like the bots, the commands. They organize them very well, very easily. Stream Elements, especially if you, I mean, I know they say Streamlabs is for people who want to use like Streamlabs OBS, and you use the other one for if you want to just use standard OBS. But in reality, most of the you can have an account on each for free, and you can kind of mix and match which ones can do one better than the other or whatever it is for your liking, and just use them. So always you got to have your accounts with them, definitely.
I mean, I know for one thing, Ryan Ramos and Ethan Bro on Twitch will cut my head off if I don't have my Capagen on there. So, if, for those who don't know what Capagen is, when you're on a stream and you see all the emotes going apeshit, that is Capagen. I think that's pretty much it on this. I mean, you guys can all go to check these out. Is there anything missing from this list?
My good friend Rick Corbo, he just mentioned Trigger Fire, which is actually very, very good too, because that allows you to be able to do like some of the animations that jump out on your screen, like where people actually. Well, you can either control them with a Stream Deck, or you can actually set it up so that like you can have immediate images that jump out at you or sound effects. Mm-hmm. Trigger Fire is a really good tool as well, and it's very easy to set up.
Is that free?
Yes, that's also free.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know there's one that's a paid one. I know that's called, I forget what it's called, Better Points, I think it's called.
There's a more powerful version of Trigger Fire if you want to do like some more higher end animations. But I mean, we're trying to keep this cheap because this is not necessarily the.
Yes.
You can easily spend a lot of money doing this, and you kind of don't want to do that unless you have the money. So
yeah, or you're making the money. I mean, I that's one thing I did want to talk about towards the end of our time together. It's like, how sustainable is a lot of these Twitch streams? I hear Devin Nash. Do you know who Devin Nash is?
I heard his name.
Yeah, he talks about like the business and the industry behind Twitch, more on the gaming side than anything. But he talks about like, how are these guys making that much money? I think like the top like 0.01% of, they're not even making base salary. Anywho, we're not going to talk about the negatives, only the positives. All right, things that come in handy. So these are like kind of superlatives, if you want to call them that. These are things that I have just hanging around, or they're kind of like tools that I use on my desk area. So the first two are recent, and they're very important because if you ever run into on your stream latency when your video is really kind of like lagging behind your audio, or it's just not cooperating, like your network is not cooperating, you can actually plug in your iPhone into your Camlink 4K, or you can get an ATEM Mini Pro, which is kind of a switcher on your desk. And you can plug all that stuff in with HDMI, and you get a full uncompressed image straight to OBS with almost no bandwidth and no CPU use. Like right now, my computer is just sipping that CPU, honey. Yes. All right. She is at 20% and she's happy. Hopefully the viewers on the other end are not,
We've all had those moments where you would look at the little light and it says like CPU 85%, and you're like, holy crap, what am I doing to my computer? Like I feel like Jekyll and Hyde sometimes down here with this stuff. Like push the limits. Like,
Okay, but that's exactly why when I was looking for a controller, I refused to find one that had to be tethered to either a tractor or a record box, because I knew if I put that on the same computer, I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to shoot myself in the foot, because I want to do all these fancy things. And then I have to have record box, which is a, CPU hog in and of itself. To stream, so dual PC streaming. That's the trick to that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't bore you with anything else on this list except this thing, which if I can find it. I don't know where. Oh, here it is. All right. So this is called a color checker. So if you ever want to make sure that your skin is not green behind your green screen, make sure that you use this, and it will white balance you. So you get accurate color whenever you do. And especially that's important when you have 1, 2, 3 cameras that are all different brands, different lenses, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on this list, Curtis, that you think might be interesting to our friends?
You pretty much do. I mean, I think everyone knows about the Stream Deck by now. I mean,
Oh
you can
yeah.
get them in a couple of different. You can get them in a couple of different sizes. There's the mini, then there's the regular size, and then there's the XL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are cheaper alternatives. There are ways of actually creating like a Stream Deck using your cell phones or tablets,
Yes.
using free software and things like that. And there's some really cool ones. But I think, like in this case, Elgato has such a great little system with it, and it makes it super easy. That like if you don't want to spend so much time with all the lengthy configuring because you're going to be configuring so many other things, the Stream Deck they got right, and I kind of like that. So
Yes, absolutely.
I will definitely recommend that one. That it's worth the money for that.
What about lights? I mean, I noticed that you have quite a few lights. Are there any lights that you would recommend?
Oh yes. My favorite lights right now, believe it or not, is it not why? Oh my god, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Like I'm literally looking at I literally can. I'm trying to
It's
remember.
that 50,000-inch monitor in front of your face that's making you like.
I literally have like I have the brand name in my head, and it's like it's right there, and I cannot remember it. Like I have to literally go into my Lumia stream in order to figure it out.
Lumia Stream. That is another really cool app that works half the time.
Yes, I've become a big fan of Lumia Stream over the many years. Let me see. There is a brand a brand of light that I really do like when it comes to
LIFX.
Yes, LifeX. That's exactly what it is. Thank you. Because I couldn't remember that for to save my life. I don't know why. Because I was using Wise at one point, but there was some features that weren't working properly with Lumia Stream, so I just kind of got rid of them. But LifeX is a great light. So I mean, these are the ones that I use in. I actually have them installed in the walls, in the ceilings now. So like when you see the lights flashing and things like that, I'm using those, and I have nano leaf lights behind me. Like so, like when you're in when I'm in the DJ booth, you can actually I can just show you the DJ. Well, no, that's an overhead view. But when you're in the DJ booth and you see the light panels flashing behind me, those are also nano. Those are nano leaf. Those are a little pricey. If you want to do like a really big display, but like they work really, really well with Lumia Stream. And
the only thing I would say about the Nanoleaf, at least the Aurora, the big, the big triangle ones, they are so bright that you have to put them at like 1% in order to get them to be like color accurate and not wash out your entire stream.
Well, that is absolutely true. Yeah, like even I have the square ones. I have them turned down so low because they do have a lot of power. And I have a 30. I mean, I managed to use my little tips and my cheers to get myself a 30 panel thing there. So like it looks really cool, but like if I had it like at like half blast, every time you saw it, it would just be like this big flashing beam of white light coming at your screen. You would never see anything. All my viewers would go blind. It would be kind of bad. So.
All right. Well, before we move on, I want to take a few seconds to recognize a few people in the chat right now. So we got Susan Estera, we got Gualtier Mald, we have Rick Corbo, we have got Jolt Dude. How are y'all doing? I'm definitely reading the chat in passing as I go through the slides. So don't think I'm not.
Estera.
I still can't get over when she like came up right behind you in your stream. I lost my mind.
I don't know, but when she said she was gonna come by, I was like, oh my god, she's gonna flip. Everyone's gonna
Malde like
flip.
Beyonce.
That that was such a fun
Did you
stream.
see this queen? Malde like Beyonce. No, she didn't. Oh, girl. All right. Moving on. All right. So, cameras. I'm going to make this really short and sweet. So, these are all cameras that I have personally used and can vouch for. However, they come with caveats and they come with, gotchas, so to speak. So, on the left side of the spectrum, you've got USB cameras, you've got your Logitechs, you've got your Elgato face cams, you've got anything that plugs into the back of your computer with a USB port. So they're cheap, which makes them very easy to buy. Maybe not at the beginning of the pandemic. Remember, they were like $300. But the problem with these guys is that, number one, they are really bad at low light. So in order for the sensors within these cameras to be effective, you need to shine light into them, which removes all the blockiness and all the pixelation, right? Which is why I can't really recommend them. I don't know, Curtis, have you found a USB cam that works well for you?
Actually, I'm actually gonna say that I pretty much did, because I started out with like a bunch of Logitechs. I mean, because the Logitech cameras at one point, I mean, before the pandemic, you could get these Logitech cameras pretty easily. And like I managed to grab a bunch of them because I was trying to do live streaming in clubs, did them really badly, but like I had the cameras. But there is a company called Huddlecam. Huddlecam does a USB camera. They're slightly more expensive than the regular Logitech cameras. They take a little bit more power too. I managed to grab one. I gave it a shot. It cost me about $299 for one. And right now, like after many months of streaming and things like that, I have 3 of them now because they're amazing cameras. I mean, I'll show you the view from my DJ booth. You've probably seen this view before.
Is it the one that's like down?
Yes, the view over of the DJ booth. Let me see if I can show that right now.
There you go.
That is literally done with those cameras, and I mean, it's a super wide angle over 104, like it's a 104-degree viewing angle for one.
Yeah,
amazing zoom, and I mean, it's really good in low light. I mean, the reason why I can get away with like some of these USB cameras is because I have other lights around here. I mean, I'm not like totally in the darkness.
Exactly.
But they work very well in low light. And see, I'm over here. You can see my hand waving right over there. But yeah, it's a great camera. I mean, it's a little bit more pricey, and I know we need to try to keep things a little bit like affordable.
Yeah.
But like, if you could go a little bit further, I mean, if you can't buy like the super studio cameras, the Huddlecam might be a good way to go if you could get up to that point.
Yeah. And Rick Corbo just mentioned that he uses the C930. Rick Corbo, I don't know if you heard, but this thing, you just put it up to your camera and then you take a snapshot of it. I will show you how to do that in another video with the C930, but that will help you to lock the white balance to what is known as 18% white, which is accurate. So anywho, let's go ahead and move on down the spectrum. So again, I told you that you can actually use your phone's Wi-Fi with NDI, and you can get that really nice looking crisp 4K, by the way, stream. Obviously, the 4K is kind of useless if you can't stream in 4K, so you'll have to downsample that or reduce the size of the resolution down to 1080p or 720 or what have you, and it makes a little bit more sense. But that you can get on the App Store. I believe it's free or like $9 or something like that, so it's very affordable.
Yeah, yeah. NDI, the NDI tools for the iPhone or even Android is only a couple of bucks. There's other programs that claim to do it, and they do it okay, but like it's again, that's one of those few things where it's like, it's worth paying the $5 to $10 or $20 to just make sure you get the software running, because once you're able to download it on one of your phones, you don't have to pay for it again. So like if you have 20 phones, you can download it 20 times for that same price, for the price of one, and turn them all into different webcams, and turn them all into webcams.
Using stuff you already have, exactly. I mean, that, reusing stuff for recycling those old phones is a really good idea.
Oh, yeah.
So, but if you've got spotty Wi-Fi, it doesn't help. So before
Yeah.
before I mentioned, if you have spotty Wi-Fi, or there's a new Wi-Fi technology called Wi-Fi 6, which is much better at utilizing multiple streams, which will help with the latency problem and also with the congestion problem, especially if you add more and more and more. But if you don't have that option, or if your computer doesn't support Wi-Fi 6, grab one of these things. This is the Belkin. Autofocus, not a thing on this camera. So Belkin does sell this. It's supposedly for a kind of a point of sale system, but you can plug it into the bottom of your iPhone. You plug the other end into Ethernet, and you can use the same NDI source as you would Wi-Fi. The other option is getting Camo, which I mentioned earlier on. I think a license is like $79 for a lifetime license. The image is spectacular, and the best thing about Camo is that you can actually control all of the variables: the white balance, the exposure. They even have some like AI things where you can, raise your hand and it turns into a Mickey Mouse hand. Like really cool stuff that you'd never want to do on a stream, but it exists. So why not? And there's other apps as well if that one doesn't work for you. Epoch Cam, I think, is another one from Elgato, and so on. And then moving further down, you've got mirrorless and DSLR. So Sony makes some really great cameras. I have the A6100, which is a little bit of an older camera, but it works really well. You can get it for like $700. Obviously, it's kind of a steeper price, but the image is spectacular. And you get really good low light. You don't have any noise. So if you're a really big stickler on the image quality and kind of the if you're a perfectionist about that stuff, this is where you want to go. And then you've got idiots like me who spend probably too much money on studio cameras. So these box cameras that are purpose built for live streaming. And they're all controllable from a single source on your desk. And they are very expensive. I won't tell you how much I spent. But I'm just testing it out at the moment. So thank you, Amazon. I can return it. I can return it at any point.
We're talking like PTZ cameras that can actually zoom in real time, and like you can actually, like some of them you can actually program like a game controller to zoom in while you're actually like doing your stream and things like that. One of my favorite streamers, Deadpool, has a lot of these cameras, but like but none of these cameras are cheap. No. You are literally paying like at least four figures for these things. I mean, I've seen decent ones go for a couple of $1,000 easy. And like, I'm not I love to stream. But I certainly make enough money to be affording PTZ cameras. Yes. Not yet, anyhow. Maybe one day. Who knows?
Yeah, they're not. I mean, and the problem is that these things are never going to become cheap until there's more demand for them. And unfortunately, streamers just are still stuck in the middle tier here. They don't know. Well, actually, Twitch has not allowed you to stream above like 6,000 kilobits per second, right? So there's no real need to do this, except when you want the image to look really good. It's a thing. So anyway, so let's talk about. Wait, that's not right. We are talking about cameras. So there are. This bothers me, I think, the most out of everything I ever see on Twitch, especially when I see people streaming in like either 1080p 60, and then they have a camera that is like 720p 30.
640. 480p.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the cardinal rules to streaming is that your lowest camera is going to be your denominator, your common denominator, right? So if you've got all 4K cameras, great, you can stream in 4K. But if you've got one camera that is only doing 720p,
The
chances
whole
are
stream is 720, just to keep it
correct.
safe.
And your frame rate needs to be adjusted. So, let me talk about the frame rates real quick. So, starting from 60 frames per second, that's what you see most news broadcasts in these days. They're really fast. You can tell the motion really easily. Most games actually are streamed in 60 frames per second or 50. Then you've got 30. This is like what you would normally see most TV shows filmed in. And then you've got 24 frames per second, which is the easiest for any of your encoders on your PC, etc. If you've got a slower PC, definitely try 24 frames per second. And the bonus is you'll look cinematic. So if you ever go to the movies, that is what movies are filmed in, is 24 frames per second. Anything you want to add to this bit? I think this is my last slide, I want to say.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about the 720p again, like, I think this stream actually is 720p 60. This is the perfect resolution and frame rate to use if you want to get that mobile user, people on their phones, people who don't have a really fast connection in some country that they're watching you from. You want to ensure that people can see your stream 720p 60 or 720p 30, as Rick Corbo says here, is going to be important.
It's like it's one of the safest bets. I mean, you could use a computer that's like almost 10 years old as a streaming system, and you can still get a good quality 720 out of it. So like you don't even have to buy like new latest gear.
That's
you're
right.
You're pretty good with the 720, and most streams. I mean, most DJ streams look fine that way. I mean, we're not doing what the gamers are doing. We're not really requiring that really heavy duty bandwidth because they're counting per frame in order to do fighting games or something like that. We don't need that.
That's
so
right.
The 720 is like more than
enough
for people. Yeah.
Excuse me. All right. So, we are going to, oh, my bad. Oh, Jesus. All right. Using my keyboard from now on. Overlays and graphics. I think this is probably the thing that I think most DJs and actually most streamers in general kind of go back and forth on, changing it up. What should I include? What shouldn't I include? What's too much? What isn't enough? What services provide what? And what is like kind of the bare minimums. Again, this is just my opinion as to what are nice to haves and bare necessities. Curtis, feel free to chime in if I'm missing any or if you think I'm completely off base here. But the left-hand column is what I feel like should be on every person's stream as a DJ, right? Obviously, your logo telling people like who you are. If you don't have that on your stream, like you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if somebody's just watching that stream and not your chat or looking at your panels on your Twitch stream, right? Especially if they got rated, right? You want people to know who you are. So that's super important. Social media handles. Rick Corbo, you actually have a really great plugin or something that you bought or downloaded. I don't know what, but it actually cycles through your social media. It goes in, comes out, and it's very graceful and really nicely done. So I have to give you props on that one.
Yes, it's a very, very cool feature. And on top of that, I know I know on Streamlabs and on Stream Elements, some of them provide widgets that can do something similar. Like I know what Rick is doing is like on the next level thing. We like what he's doing with video and what he's doing with some of his transitions are just on a completely different level. And he's actually using a lot of the free tools you're talking about to do some of this stuff. But yeah, it's another one of those things that you can actually get. You can get something that simulates that off of Streamlabs Stream Elements for free, and it's totally worth using. Absolutely.
Yeah. Then you've got this Stinger and the Luma transition. Oh shit! I completely missed Capugen, and if anybody knows the two San Franciscans, yeah, they will come at you hard if you don't have their Capugen. Gimp and Davinci, you made that yourself? Work, bish. Nice. I know you're not using GIMP though. Come on.
Rick Crow turns it. Yes, he does.
Mm-hmm. It's that intuition. That's why I keep telling you, you need to start doing these production streams. I want to know your secrets. I'm going to get them. All right. So Capugen, these are the emotes that come flying everywhere when somebody either subscribes or follows you, or even when somebody in the chat writes Capugen and blah, blah, blah. And, it serves for, effect and keeps you engaged and entertained. Stinger and Luma transitions. These are not used enough personally. I mean, I feel like this is something that like sets you apart. So if you can go to Fiverr and you can get a custom one, or you could hire Rick Corbo, who I know does them.
Yes. He's done a few for me. Yes. Like it's one that he's really good at it.
He did the High Five Wednesday. I know he did like the rotating logo, and he did some of the stingers, and they're all amazing.
Yeah.
So definitely would recommend hitting him up if you need that. And then the last one I would say is a necessity is the alert box. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be in your mix, right? And completely ignoring the fact that you've got somebody who just subscribed or sent 10 gift subs your way. That is something you don't want to do. So you want to at least give them some recognition on your stream when that happens. And I know Stream Elements and Streamlabs both have really amazing ones for that. Matt, yes, great tip, Rick.
Yes, Matt transitions.
Yes, and I think it's even less CPU use, and it's actually a lot smoother than the older ones. So. Yeah.
There's actually a company called I think it's called Nerd or Die.
Yes.
They actually have offered like a bunch of like matte transitions for free.
Mm-hmm.
They did like a package of like 25 of them, and you can get them in a couple of different styles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a good a good base to start, and you might actually be able to use them in a nice creative way to make your stream look interesting.
Yes. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, I keep coming back to this, but like nobody wants to go to your stream for watch you spin for 3 hours unless there's something engaging happening on the stream. They're just going to lurk and whatnot. Sassy Kaboom. How you doing?
Sassy Kaboom. Sassy Kaboom.
Girl, I know you can't hear me when I'm watching Drum Nation, but I swear to God, I'm over here like Sassy Kaboom with my drink in my hand. Anywho, so let me see here. I know I'm coming up on the last few here. This nice to haves, and I know this is going to be very subjective. So, chat box. I personally feel that the chat box is used, first of all, way too liberally on streams. When the focus should be on the beauty of whatever it is that you're putting on in the video. If you're going through all that trouble to encode that video, better make sure you're not putting chat on top of it. That's my opinion. What do you feel about that? I don't even think you do that. Do you, Curtis?
I used to use chat a lot when I first started. I kind of liked the effect of it.
Yeah.
Only because I knew, like, for me, I was streaming after hours, so I knew there wasn't always going to be a lot of chatting going on. But so every so often to see the box pop up here and it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then I kind of got rid of it because I thought the chat was redundant.
Yeah.
Only because if people are watching you on Twitch, they're already engaged in the chat. So why do they also need to see it in the stream as well?
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of brought it back because now when I make my screens, when I have to go to break, when I have to go to the bathroom, I'll actually put the chat there. I've seen some streamers do that, and in a way that kind of makes sense, because if they can't see you because you have to run to the bathroom or make yourself a drink or anything else out there, they can at least see something on the screen.
What kind of DJ are you? You don't have a bottle underneath your DJ booth? I mean, I've got at least 2 or 3 under here.
Well, I got a refrigerator on the other side of the booty lounge.
Yes.
And at some point, I might be able to get really swanky and all, and kind of like make a little space in the DJ booth with a small little fridge, and then that way you can see me making drinks while I'm actually spinning. That'd actually be kind of funny. Yeah, see, Joel, dude, you got the right idea. The fridge should be in the DJ booth. Exactly.
I mean, I honestly feel like you should just have like a whole damn mixing bar on the side and just like, Whenever
I'm playing Tribal House, I'm just shaking this. Yes, that's a great idea.
Oh, girl. You got your shakers. That's for sure.
Yes.
All right. So the multiple simultaneous camera angles. Curtis has this down pat. And I feel like it is definitely it helps to change things up. I do know that a lot of us try to keep things interesting. Twisted D is really good at this. She will go in and out of her camera angles to just have a chat with you. Like, she's just like, I want to talk to you face to face.
And then boom, there she is.
I'm just like, yes. All right. Background videos. By the way, on the slide here, if I've put an asterisk next to this, be careful. If you've got a computer that is barely keeping up with your videos, chances are the things with the asterisk next to them, it's going to cause your CPU to go through the roof. So,
yeah.
With the background videos, just also the rule of thumb is that if your camera and OBS is streaming at 720p, go ahead and encode your videos like before you stream using something called like Handbrake or anything really to the same resolution and the same frame rate, because that will help the computer process it a little easier.
That is super important with all the video programs that you use. I mean, the program, whatever you use, if you're streaming a like 720 and you download a 4K video, it will try to play it, but that's just more work that it needs to do to re-encode, to spit it out at your resolution, and that can actually cause problems, especially if you're going to use a program like Resolume.
Oh yeah.
Or some other program. Like, you really want to make sure that all of your videos are at the exact at the band rate at the rate that you're streaming, and then that way you won't get so much choppiness. I mean, I found that out the hard way. Many times on my streams were like, oh crap, I can't use that video. She's cute, but she's 4K. Delete her, or at least convert her so I can bring her back on the next stream.
I'm telling you, I mean, everybody that's putting all this time and effort into downsampling their videos and then they toss them away. And then when 4K becomes a thing, when AV1 comes out on Twitch, you better watch out. You're going to have to go pay all that money again.
Exactly.
One other, the last thing I'll say about the encoding of the videos is if you've got Resolume, check out Ali. It's the companion app that comes with it. It helps you to take, like, say, if you've got a ProRes video that you download from Envato or some other source, or if you've just got a regular old video that is in something called MJPEG or like Motion JPEG, which is what most MP4s are actually encoded in. You can use their proprietary codec. It's called DXV3 or something. It doesn't use any CPU. It just uses your GPU to decode or to play it on your computer. When I was running into some issues with my M1 MacBook Air when I was using OBS, that was the way that I fixed that. So check that out if you haven't already. Ooh, child, what am I doing? Geez. All right. So now playing Track ID. I'm a little bit like mixed on this. Unless you use Tractor, there's like no, or Virtual DJ, I think. There's no real like source to this. Like, I know that you talk about this, Curtis, because you used a few tools, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways of doing it. I mean, you can kind of be a little creative. Like the way that I'm doing it right now, I'm using
Serato too, yeah.
because I'm using track. I'm still using Tractor here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a website called Radar and that was created by like Hawking like many ages ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a way to allow you to report whatever you're playing to a Twitter feed directly from Serato. You can do it with Serato. You can also do it with You can do it with Tractor. And then what I wound up doing is that I actually use a script online. There's a couple of free scripts that can actually retrieve your last tweet, and then you can actually use that as a source on OBS. So I've found a couple of creative ways of doing it.
Mm.
Currently, right now, I'm actually taking some cues from Rick Corbo with his slider for his
grinder. What?
No, not his grinder. He's not there. His slider, honey.
The slider. Oh, the slider.
His slider for he uses his slider to show his social media tools.
Uh-huh.
Well, I used one of the tools from Streamlabs that does the similar thing, and I created a couple of graphics. So instead of using that for social media stuff, I actually use it with another scene to create this image that looks like a now playing thing is sliding up, and then it eventually turns, and you can actually see the actual song listing.
I can just see Dee's face going.
But there's some other tools out there. I know, like if you use Rekordbox, which I don't. But if you use Rekordbox, there is a way of doing a now playing from there. There's a couple of other streamers now that are actually making bots that are really good at detecting all this stuff too.
Yeah.
A lot of the DJs are kind of working together to put together their own tools for that because they like to be able to tell people what they're playing. You know?
Oh, what's that guy's name? He's in San Francisco. Yeah, the trance DJ. He made one. I guess he's a software programmer or something on the side as well.
Yeah, surprisingly, a lot of the stuff that they're using for coding is goes back to the days of JavaScript back in the 90s and stuff like that with a twist. So there is if you actually know a little bit of that nerdy, geeky web coding, you can actually create some of this stuff. So it's
I just don't have the time and nobody's paying me, so I'm not going to do it. But besides that.
Exactly.
All right, last two. Let's hit these real quick. Audio Spectralizer. So if you see the audio going up and down on your stream, there's a plugin for that you can download from the OBS's website. And then one thing that I don't see a whole lot of, right? Except I think who's the one that does it? Ronnie Bruno. He does really great starting and ending scenes where at the end he has credits, which I think is so cool. Like anybody who rated or hosted or shared or gave bits or whatnot, he gives them credit, which is perfect. Yeah.
Yes. Quality Baldi with the credits. They're not the Japanese credits from my anime collection that I'm just too lazy to edit out. These are real credits. And yeah, there's actually a couple of things I think Stream Elements and Streamlabs that can actually help you put that together too, which makes it very easy if you want to actually do something similar. But Ronnie Bruno turns it with the credits, and they appear appropriately at the end of the show, not at random like with mine.
Wait, so Rick Corbo, I want one so bad, but the plugin only runs on PC. Which plugin are you talking about?
I'm not sure.
I wonder if he's talking about. Oh, wait a minute. Is he talking about the Spectralizer?
It might be OBS Spectralizer.
Yeah.
PC, there's definitely a lot more plugins for the PC side for OBS than it is on the Mac.
Yeah.
So
Rick Corbo, hit me up after the stream in Messenger, and I will send you the how-to on how to do that. It's pretty easy. It's just they don't document it really well. Anywho, that's it on that. So enough tech talk. I want to go through basically how to set up a DJ live stream in OBS. Basically, how I would do it from start to finish using some of the tools mentioned in here. I do want to take maybe a 2-minute break, if that's okay, and give Curtis a chance to bio break if anything.
I have to refill.
Okay. All right, so let me see if I know Restream's got something for that. Let me see here. Graphics. Let me see here. All right.
Attrition.
Yeah. All right. How long do we need, do you think? I think we're going to do like a 59 second. Yeah, let's do that. All right, guys. We'll see you back in 1 minute. The music was not sanctioned, FYI. I did not. I don't know who was smoking what when they picked that out, but
transition music by Enya.
Seriously, I mean, dang. All right, so bear with me because I think this is my first time. It's my first time. She knows. All right, so let's see.
Susan Estera, I was skipping through the daisies on that shit. You better work. I love you.
All right. Skipping to the daisies. I can't. All right. So you get to see all the cool Restream stuff, but that's not really what we're here for, is it? So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. All right. So Curtis, I want maybe you can help narrate as I do this. How do you want to do this?
Well, I will try to best describe what I see.
Okay.
That's just the best way to do it.
And I think we should also talk a little bit at the beginning, like, let's talk about like what normally goes into your thought process with this. Let me just open up OBS here. So I've got blank OBS and I actually pre-logged in with my so one really great tip I would say is to always have a secondary Twitch user, like a bot user or something, that you can use to test with. More often than not, people actually don't test their streams prior to. Guilty, as you all saw, basically. And it turns out that it's a very easy thing to do. So definitely do that. So maybe the first thing might be to like familiarize folks with the settings, and let's maybe talk about some of the things that we go in and set in a new profile. So I think the thing that I normally look at on this first screen, which is the general screen here, or the general tab here, is the snapping. Like I always want to make sure that I'm snapping to the center and to the edges of the screen. Because I'm a perfectionist like that, and I hate like that little black on the like side, where you don't go like pixel perfect against the thing. And the other thing that I would say is kind of cool is in OBS is if you have you can search known locations for scene collections. A really good practice when you have multiple shows is that you have scene collections for each show. So, for instance, Curtis has Drum Nation. He's also got the High Five Wednesdays, and I'm sure he has those things split out. For
oh yeah.
It just makes for a much cleaner and a more CPU friendly stream.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on this screen? I don't think this is not a very sexy screen.
Oh, you set it in dark mode, of course. Set your theme to dark mode so you don't go blind. You know?
Oh, God, yes. I mean, do you want to see what they give you otherwise? I mean, it's really gross. It's like, that's not it. No. Is it this one? Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, that one's not too pretty.
Yeah. It's like, who thought of this? That was not bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, dark mode is definitely it. And also, like, your system should be on dark mode at all times. Save your eyes.
Yes, please.
One really cool thing, like if you're running into like some issues with CPU or like encoding issues, you can open up the stats dial up on startup. That's kind of cool. It gets a little annoying. You can actually panel it down in the at the bottom here, which can be a little bit easier. All right, let's move on. So when you're using Twitch, always make sure to log in with by connecting your account. What that gets you is you get all the panels. The chat panels on the left. You can get the stream information on the right. That's how I do it.
Yeah, before there was a point where you actually had to try to type in your stream key. And if you already know how long and how messy those stream keys are, you wouldn't do it that way.
And
so just
so
just literally just go through the setup, and if you or for whatever site that you're using, because you can do Twitch. I think you could do Restream now through.
Yep.
And there's a couple of other choices over there, depending on where you want to stream. But if they allow you to connect through API and things like that, just do it that way and make your life a whole lot easier.
Absolutely. And if you want to test your bandwidth, this bandwidth test mode is super useful. Let me actually show you how that works. So this is kind of how you can detect whether the encoding settings that you're using are good or not. Is if you use this and you say want to go live, right? Yeah, that's not. Yes, so go live, and then the best thing you can do is fire up. Let's use Safari because I'm using Chrome in the other window. Inspector.twitch.tv. And then you've got to log in, and then basically what this gets you is you can actually see all the information about your stream. And it's for some reason not letting me log in. Girl, don't you know who I am? Okay. Oh, there it goes. All right, cool.
What password? You better work.
Yes. Authorize, and then now you can see I'm streaming live here, and it will basically give you a graph of the bit rate, which you always want to make sure is steady. If you see your bit rate going up and down and up and down and up and down, it means that your computer is having trouble maintaining that, and you should probably reduce it. You can auto refresh that. And actually this works with live streams as well. So if you're unsure and you're doing something live, like right now, you can go to inspector.twitch.tv and it will show you all the information about your stream. So that's that. Go ahead and stop streaming. Go back to settings. All right. So this is, I feel this and the video tab are really the most important settings panels of them all.
Oh yeah.
So this is where it's going to vary a little bit based on what computer you've got. So if you've got a PC, right, it's going to be, and depending on what kind of PC, if you've got an AMD or an NVIDIA graphics
card. The video card will give you different options as well.
Yeah. And if you're on a Mac, by the way, never, ever, ever use these top two options. They're absolute garbage. So VT actually stands for Video Toolbox, and it's basically Apple's way of utilizing the hardware video encoder, but OBS bastardized it and didn't use it correctly. They've never fixed it. So for Twitch, if you're only streaming to Twitch and not YouTube or anything else, generally what you're going to want to do, if you've got a 1080p stream, I would say always try to aim towards the 6,000 kilobit per second range. If you find that your encoder or your bandwidth is lacking, or if you're streaming at 30 frames per second, I would say you can try 4,500 or 5,000. There's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of difference for that. Um, da, 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 da. And if, by the way, a really cool tip is if you don't know your kind of desired frame rate or your desired bit rate, but you do know that you like the look of somebody else's stream, you can actually right click on the stream and you can go and see what they're streaming at. It's like Stats for Nerds or something else, but it will tell you. The CPU usage preset, I don't know, Curtis, what do you use on this one? I tend to keep it up on these top three.
Yeah, with a newer computer, I try to keep it closer towards the top. You only have to start lowering it when you have the older machines and you're trying to like maintain a quality stream. I mean, especially if you're trying to push 1080. Again, like, you know, if you're having a hard time with 1080, go down to 720, you will have a decent quality stream. And then the older hardware works a lot better, and you don't have to worry about like Steam coming out of the USB ports or anything like that.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
I've done bad things to computers down here. Steam coming out of the machines, seeing like, you know, process CPU rates peaking at like 90%, going, oh wait, I shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. Let's keep streaming anyhow, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen.
Listen to your computer. Listen to it when it's talking to you, girl. So Susan Sarah actually points out that OBS Studio runs best on PC than Mac. I have found that to also be true, but what I will say is that I have never had good luck on keeping any program alive longer than 2 hours on a PC. Maybe it's because I'm a Mac person and I just don't know, like, you know, how it works, but you know, or I've customized my computer to a point. Who knows?
Yeah. OBS is one of the main programs that has pushed me to use PCs more. I'm a total Mac person too. I love Macs. Mm-hmm. I prefer the Mac. But like, just knowing that there's just so many more tools available on the PC level, and when I got started, I knew I couldn't afford a brand new Mac. I mean, we were all pandemic. We weren't making money. We weren't going to nightclubs or anything like that. And we certainly weren't able to go into the office or anything like that. And I was not going to like go do Grubhub to try to afford a computer or anything like that. But I had a whole bunch of older machines and they were PC boxes. And I was able to like get some really good results using PCs. And yeah, OBS just seems to work better because there's a bigger community of people making sure that the stuff works better on PC.
Totally.
There's not. I don't think there's a lot of users who are using a Mac for that particular purpose, which is a shame because I'm sure if they actually did make a solid Mac version, it would be everything and beyond. But
yeah, I mean, one thing that I am kind of flabbergasted by is the fact that Apple themselves don't have a streaming solution. Like,
yeah,
come on, Apple.
They have completely slept on that, and you and me both. We're both kind of gagging on that. It's like they should have done something a long time ago.
Yeah. All right. So these are my settings. These are what I typically go for. One thing I will say is do not ever use this rescale output. If your output in this tab here, the video tab, this is where you want to do your scaling. But I would say try to aim to have these two options to be the same, because if you've got a base and a canvas, if you've got a canvas and an output that are different, your computer is doing double the work for nothing. Just design your canvas, your artwork to be what it's at scale.
Your overlays, your videos, everything. Just make sure everything matches, because the more everything matches, the less work your computer has to do.
Absolutely. So recording. So this area has changed a bit since the beginning of the pandemic. And the reason I say that is because now you can actually use custom output here. And bear with me, this is going to get geeky. But you can actually go here to, I believe it's move, MOV. You go to move, which is the container format for QuickTime. Everybody knows QuickTime. And you can actually set this to be ProRes, right? This is very cool if you're on a Mac. And the reason I say this is because if you've got an external hard drive, say a 1 terabyte drive that you can clear out every time you do a stream, bear with me, you're going to get the best quality video that you can then use to repurpose your streaming videos for clips. If you've got something really cool, like a raid that just came in from Gabriel in Dresden that you want to save, the ProRes is going to be the best way to do that. And all the other options don't matter. ProRes is ProRes, and Apple takes care of the rest. And
if you could totally do that, and I mean, and putting together an actual 1 terabyte drive right now, even solid state, is actually pretty good. It's actually really good to do that these days.
Yeah,
like a 1 terabyte solid state drive, you're basically paying $1 per gigabyte at this point.
Yeah, which is crazy because like even before the pandemic, it was crazy.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do ProRes and you just want to use something that's pretty standard, make sure you use MKV and you use the stream encoder, and it's not going to do anything additional to your recordings. It's just going to record straight to there. One pro tip though, if you use Restream, you don't even bother recording because they record it on the cloud for you.
Yeah, that's a nice feature. That's a totally great feature for them.
Yeah. Always make sure your bit rate's 320. This kind of varies, I feel like, based on who you are. If you've got a lot of private tracks, or you've got a lot of stuff that hasn't been released yet, or something, you maybe don't do that because people will rip it or do what have you. But for me, I'm all about the quality, and I really want to make sure that people know you can do 320.
Yeah. You can. I mean, generally speaking, since I know I wind up playing unreleased materials and things that are coming soon, I have a tendency to lower that bit rate. I mean, I to lower it from 320. I mean, obviously, don't do it at 128. If you can avoid that, just don't do it at 128. But even when we stream to the radio station, 102 DLG radio, they're having it at about 192.
That's perfect.
That's fine for listening purposes on Twitch. It's not it's not the dreaded 128. Like I think that makes me twitch when I hear streams that bad. But 192.
I got Alan T in my head. Twitch.
Exactly. 192 or above, and you'll have a nice audio experience for your viewers and stuff like that.
So I was working on the assumption that we were going to do a 1080p stream. Like, let's think about doing a 720p 60, right? I would say 4500 for this value, 2 ultra fast main, and let's do audio at 192. And so what that's going to add up to is 4500 plus 192 is like 46, and that was 4692. And so make sure that you have double that bandwidth upload on your computer before you stream. Super important.
You probably would be a good resource to let you know what your bandwidth is at. There's plenty of speed tests that you could use online. You can just look one up, and they can give you a general idea of what your download and upload speeds are. I mean, if you have a decent high speed, you might be able to upload as much as 25, at 25 megabits or higher or something like that. You may not need as long as you know you can upload as around 4, 5, 6,000 K, you're good.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people are complaining that your stream is choppy, just you can lower the bit rate a little bit. It's not going to be a huge deal. So make sure your sample rate's set to 48 kilohertz. I know that was a relatively recent change. It's going to require you to restart OBS, but that's super important as well. Obviously, if you're using a Pioneer deck, if you're using the XDVXC, and you're using the USB output from that, I don't think they actually support 48,000 kilohertz. So you might get some like humming or some weirdness on that.
Or some choppy audio. I've seen that happen a couple of times. It's weird.
Yeah. The mic auxiliary, this is what I always do. I always put my XDJ as the mic auxiliary here rather than putting it as a audio input. I saw a few DJs like doing that at the beginning of the pandemic, and they're like, oh, why is my audio cutting out when I do a transition? Well, girl, it's because you didn't put it in the entire global audio devices section.
Exactly. Then they have to, because then they have to add that audio source to every scene. Right. Otherwise, you have these gorgeous graphics and no audio, no audio. Or worse, like it happened to me the first time I started streaming. Every time we would transition to this video transition with like video loops, the video loops had audio to it. So I go from like all this amazing house music, and the next thing you know, it would be Enya music and these pretty graphics.
Or your Japanese, anime.
Exactly. Like all of a sudden, you start hearing people cussing you out in Japanese for 30 seconds, and then the next thing you know, it goes right back to house music.
Well, that was interesting.
Those were the days.
All right, so these are going to be our settings for base canvas, etc., etc. Color space, always leave it 709. That's what most TVs are in, unless you're in a different part of the world. Keep your color range at partial. Everything else here, I feel like, is pretty standard. You can enable the browser source hardware acceleration if you have a good GPU. All right, go ahead and hit apply, and we've got our canvas. So I'm not going to go into the whole stream. I feel like how long are we? It's an hour and a half now, and I sort of want to get to Twitch and start listening to some music. So let's shortcut this. Let's talk about some kind of organizational tips. I feel like everybody's been streaming for a while, but perhaps their scene collection is a mess, or they don't know like some of the tips to keep their CPU use down. So one thing that you can actually do is you can create scenes for, say, your top level overlay, right? Like something like this. You can create a scene for your background videos. You can create a scene for your webcams, right? In certain configurations. And the really cool thing about this is that in your main scenes, the ones that you transition to and from, you can reuse these. So one of the really bad things that I see a lot of DJs and streamers do is that they'll copy and paste the like webcams, for instance. So you'll have multiple webcam sources running, eating up your CPU and not caring a damn about it. So, the way that you would use this, right? So say this is a scene, like just scene 1, right? Go in here and add a scene, and then you have all your scenes here. So for instance, your background videos would go at the bottom. You would go ahead and do the same thing for, your overlays and so on and so forth. Really good organizational tip, because the other thing is that you only have to change things in one place. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
That has saved a lot of time and it's actually saved a lot of like processing power, because at first I would make the scenes and you would try to upload every overlay, your overlay every single time, all the resources from either Stream Elements and Streamlabs every single time, the cameras, this, that, the other thing. You could actually, right now what I tend to do, I have one scene that's dedicated to all of those like outside sources. And I organize them all so that all I would have to do when I want to change even one thing in a certain overlay, I just have to change it to that one part. And then all the camera angles, all the cameras are going to use the same overlays in that same organization anyhow, so that when I change in that one master, as you would say, a master scene, it sets it for all the other cameras. So you don't have to go through, like for me, I have 6 cameras. I don't have to change it 6 times, which would be a complete pain in the butt. And yeah, that kind of hurts.
Yeah, pain in the butts usually do hurt.
That.
um,
Oh God! Hopefully no one clipped that. But if they did, send me the sample.
Boom. Restream it up. All right. So again, what I normally add is the Capuchin here. And the cool thing about Stream Elements is that you can, emulate certain things like maybe. Come on. Hello. Oh, I don't even have a follower now. Come on. Do I have to save it? What's going on? Oh, is it because I'm in Safari? That's some bullshit, Stream Elements. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that as top overlays, and I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to go back to top overlays, make sure I add that in the right place as a browser source.
Yes.
And do 1280 by 720. And really good tip is make sure you control that audio from OBS because, girl, it is going to be a mess and you're going to hear bling, 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 bling everywhere.
It can be super loud. Sometimes you might want the effect. You can actually go in and like change the sound. Yeah. Like I've customized my sound so they could be like they're reminiscent of my favorite video game. So it can be kind of fun. Yeah. But like if you don't control the audio, sometimes it can come in so loud that like, yeah, it's ugly.
So hey Paulo, yeah, I'm gonna basically upload this to YouTube later on, probably in segments. I don't know, and then that way you'll be able to watch it whenever. So
what are you cooking, Mama?
Yes, tell us what you're cooking. I'm pots and pans.
You're making dinner. Hello.
Save some for us.
Yes.
All right, so let's see if this works here because I have a feeling it's because I'm using Safari and not like Chrome or whatever. Oh, it just hates me. Okay, cool. I get it. This bitch. Okay, so plot twist: cooking dinner is a metaphor. Clearly. Okay, here. So no, it's this wrong shirt. Paulo does have a shirt that says pots and pans, or not pots and pans, but he's the tribal bitch. So you'll learn today. All right, so I'm gonna do this. I guess I'm gonna have to go into. Oh, you know what? I think I know why. It's because my ass tried to be fancy. Yeah. It's because I'm not logged into my main Twitch account, I guess. Rude. Oh, but you know what? I can't do that because... Oh, hell no. Oh, that's... I have an ad on my thing. Okay.
You better work.
I'm like... Who are these guys watching soccer on my channel? No, they didn't.
Sports? How dare they?
I know. Bitch. Get off. Okay. So Stream Elements isn't working. How about Streamlabs? I bet you Streamlabs will work. They got that OBS stealing money.
Of course.
If you guys don't know the drama behind that, it was quite interesting. Tea. Spill it, girl.
I'm not gonna say a word beyond that.
See, the first thing they say, do you want Streamlabs desktop? No, you do. I don't want any of this garbage. No. Start. Yeah, you're going to want starter because you don't even know. Look at all my test streams. And I even had some viewers. Look at that. All right. So the really cool thing about Streamlabs, I would say, is their alert box. So why don't we start with the alert box? And I don't need a refresher. Thank you very much. Let's copy this. Let's just get the plain Jane one. and click that. And by the way, make sure you rename your browser sources. So don't have a billion of the browser sources. That will get annoying. So this could be alert box.
Mm-hmm.
Boop. All right. And if I remember correctly, yeah, there we go. This is going to be one that you don't want to be as big as your stream. So yeah, I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to go right there. And remember how I did the snapping? Yeah, there's the snapping that I like. So it's definitely in the middle. You know what? Let me do this. Bup, bup, bup. What? You know what? I don't think I even have. Oh, you know, let's do this. No, that's fine. I'm going to add my camera to my webcams here. You're going to see my lovely face from the front and
giving body, giving face, giving body.
You know what? You're gonna get a clack of that fan. All right, so let's see here. FaceTime. Woo!
There it is.
It's not cute today. So we're just gonna do 720p 30. And notice how this is 601 by default. Always make sure it's 709 or you're gonna look a little washed out. It's not really helping me either way. So it's very bright in here. All right, so you've got your webcams, right? So now let's go back here and we're going to add our webcams to here. Do that, and I'm going to put my webcam. I'm going to put my webcam here. My background videos. I don't even know if I have any background videos. Let's skip the background video for now. But basically, you can see here how I've got a really well organized areas to work in. So like if you want background videos, if you want to maybe have your DJ controller be like your main video and you want to have like a picture-in-picture, let's focus, boys. Come on now. We're having a little fun, Susan. I don't come into your stream and tell you about your disco balls, okay? Wait, I do that every stream. I love her disco balls. If you make sure you follow Susan Estera, and the next time that she go ahead.
Susan has the fiercest disco balls. She has so many disco balls. I love her disco balls.
They're all different shapes and sizes and colors.
Ooh, yes, they are. Oh God.
I can't. Okay, so let's see here. I got a subscription. Cool. All right, so let's talk about a few of the other sources that come within OBS and see how they might be used. So you've got Siphon client. So that's like if you're using something like Resolume and you want to bring it in on the same computer. You've got your NDI source, which is like if you've got a iPhone and you want to make a camera, whatnot. Audio input. Let me talk about that one. I know Paulo wanted to know a little bit about that. Because the XDJXC, through obviously amazing engineering prowess of Pioneer, you can't separate the fucking audio of your microphone and your mix, which I think is the stupidest thing on earth. So, for instance, right, Pioneer, if you're listening, the DJM 800 that I had allowed me to do that. Just saying. Anyway, so here's a way that you can probably fix that. I know Paulo was looking to do that, so let me do that for him. You've got your main audio, which you can see here. The mic aux is going up every time I speak, right? Let's pretend for a second that is, you can go booth without mic. You could. But if you've got the situation where I'm in, where it's like you're saying you could do, yeah, I suppose you could. You're saying, well, Paulo has his setup where like the booth is actually the booth monitor. And I'm not really sure if he's using the mic, the masters. But that's a good point, Susan. Maybe we should tell him about that. Another way to do it, if you want to go pure OBS, is like, say you've got what I've got here, which is the Elgato Wave Link, Wave 3. You can actually set that up as a mic, and you can do some ducking. So yeah, so if you wanted to do that, you could just go ahead back to your settings, into audio. You could add another mic, say, let's call it the Wave Link Stream, and click that. And so what you could do is you could add a filter. See that?
You can add an audio. I think, is it the compressor? I'm trying to remember how to do it, because this is how I'm doing it now. I used to actually have a hardware ducker, which was really cool to have until it failed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I don't want to spend another $80 on a hardware ducker. So I figured out a software way to do it. This is how to do it.
So if you've ever used Audio Hijack if you're on a Mac, this is a really, I don't want to install nothing. So let me open up a new one here. Blank session. So you've got your input. So say you've got your Mac, right? And you want to duck on another audio source. So built-in effects. No, it's advanced. My bad. Ducking. Look at that cute ducky. And basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you overlay the audio to where it's being... Let me get the other audios here. So you've got the other input. Yeah, there we go. So you've got your XDJXD. I'm going to pretend for a second that that's that, right? And you press start. So if this guy here comes in and starts to come in, this is your overlay threshold, right? It will actually duck that down to this volume here. This program actually is a little expensive. It's on the $99 side. So kind of the same thing with the hardware ducker. But it does a lot of other cool stuff as well. Like you can output to like the speaker, for instance, or you can output to another application, which is kind of neat. But that's that.
Yeah. There is a way of actually doing it within OBS, just using the compressor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as glamorous. It doesn't always give you the same results as using. It doesn't give you the same results, but like if you adjust it, you can pretty much simulate like what it would be, and you would set basically you can set your DJ audio to automatically duck whenever it got the audio from your mic, and you can have those parameters to like lower down the volume, the threshold, and things like that, and how fast it does it. It's a good way of being able to do it if you need to do it for free.
Yeah.
And save the money. Otherwise, if you can do it the right way, you wind up getting like the program because Audio Hijack is fierce. I do love that program.
So just showing you how to set that up again. So you'd want to do the filter on the compressor on the DJ audio, and you'd go to filters. You'd add a compressor. The sidechain ducking source would be the microphone. So when the microphone comes in, it will reduce that down.
Right.
Great tip, Curtis.
I had to learn it that way because otherwise I would have been spending another $80 to $90 for a hardware ducker, and I'm like, I kind of don't want to do that.
No one does, and I'm I'm sick of looking at my face. I'm going to turn that off. Other cool things. There's a really cool plugin called Streamfx. If you don't know about that, it is amazing. It allows you to get a whole bunch of really cool things. In fact, they are now the first ones to support AV1 codec, which is going to be very interesting very soon. And a couple of other things. Let's take a look. So you can add some source mirroring. So if you want to mirror a source, but you don't necessarily want... I'm constantly looking at the meter. This is great. What the meter for what?
Probably talking about like volume meters and things like that. We're constantly looking at every single one of them while we're doing our thing. I know I am.
Yeah, I mean, putting a limiter on is probably also a good idea. At the beginning, I started doing that just to make sure I wouldn't like blow anyone's speakers.
Pop.
Pop, exactly. No, I mean, are you hearing me? Where's my pop filter?
Boom.
Yeah. um, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there's a source mirror if you don't want to use some additional resources there. They have a few other things as well. So, for instance, if you wanted to do a transition using a shader, very cool. Shaders are the things that you see, like you can do like an ocean transition using just your computer graphics. It's kind of neat. I don't have it on this computer, but I will send it out in a separate suite. I'm trying to think what else there is here. Make sure that if you are using, if you want to do a Luma wipe transition, these are built in. All of these are built in, and you can preview them, and they come pretty cool. If you wanted to use these just like right out of the box, like there you go, done.
Yeah.
And and then I think the ones you mentioned were from Nerd or Die, right?
Nerd or Die, yeah, they have a package of like 25 matte transitions. They do them in a variety of different file formats. They do standard, and then they also do the more glitchy ones. Because I love glitchy effects because I know my computer's glitch half the time when I'm streaming, so I just kind of add more glitchiness to the stream.
Yeah,
It just kind of fits, but you can use them and they're free. So you can use it in a variety of different ways. And they did some really good jobs with some of them.
Yeah. Y'all need to listen to Rick Corbett when he tells you about the filters and the plugins to use. I'm surprised you're not using Isotope on your mic. It sounds so good. I mean, dang. Anywho,
Yep.
so you've got that. Let's see what else. I think that's kind of it. Like, what other things do you use on the regular, Curtis?
Well, I kind of loaded up for my other computer because I could use NDI. Yay, yay, yay! I could kind of show you a little bit how I do my my now playing scenes. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make sure that this is in a preview window so I can make sure that comes out properly. And
by the way, as you load that up, the Unwise Geek is actually my cousin Jonathan, and he has been making some really awesome how-to tutorials. He's been kind of teaching himself Python as he goes, and kind of building some OBS stuff. So make sure you follow him, and I think he does some streams in the middle of the day. I'm still trying to get him to allow me to come and program with him, pair program. That'd be really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go to my window preview,
okay.
So you can see what my current overlay is. Now, ironically, I decided to go for a much more minimal overlay for like most of my shows. I used to have a much bigger visuals for this, and I'm not sure why this is not working now. Let me try this again. Let's try it again. So let's try this.
You know what? I'm going to turn off my secondary one here. Maybe that's why.
Let's see, share screen. We will go here. No, not that one. Right there. And that'll come up momentarily. So I went to a much more minimal overlay. For some reason, I just kind of wanted to go more minimal, only because I just wanted to showcase more of my gear. People always want to be like, oh my god, the gear looks good. I haven't seen that before. Half the gear is probably older than the people who are watching the stream, but that's a different story. But anyhow, what I did is that I use, like I said, the transition effects, or the effects that Rick Corbo does for showing off like all of his social media stuff. I repurposed that to do my track ID. So remember, I'm using the information from from that program radar.dj that allows you to use your software program or your DJ program to report whatever track you're playing to a Twitter feed. and then you can use a software script, not even a software script, a little JavaScript to be able to retrieve that information as a browser source. So what happens is this: the stream normally looks like this. Music's playing. Then at some point, using the automatic scene switcher, it'll change to the next scene, which is called now playing, and then that will pop up. And that is actually something that's done through Stream Elements. So instead of it showing a graphic that shows you follow me at Twitter or follow me at Facebook, I made this graphic that shows this. And then after a few more seconds, well, as you see, it went off and came back up again. It did that because within a few seconds of that popping up, I forced my computer or OBS to change to another scene that says track ID, and that's what appears. Now, that text that you see is the actual data that is grabbed from my Twitter feed. I could try to figure out. Let me see if I might be able to post the information. I think it's decapi.me, who made a bunch of different scripts that can work with OBS to grab information from different social media sites. Mm-hmm. And you can style the text the way that you want to within OBS. But between the three different scenes that I use with the automatic scene switcher, I create my own little instance where it looks like the now playing. Now I can let people know in a fancy way what's playing.
Right.
Or if I wanted to, I could just, the way I used to do it, and I still actually do it this way on my Drum Nation daytime stream, I just keep the track ID up the entire time.
Yeah.
And I use only two different scenes where one, it actually has the title always showing, and then for like 5 or 10 seconds, it disappears because another scene comes off, so it can go away and reload. So like it basically checks to see if another title is up there or something that's the last tweet is up there, and then it just goes up there. And then when it goes back to the other scene, you can see the title has refreshed itself. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect, of course. I mean, you're using all these different tools that are free to put together this effect, but you can actually do it.
So now how does it handle like private tracks? Like how do you signify like this is something don't put up there?
Well, the way you could do it through radar.dj is that you can actually program it so that only certain tweets with certain criteria make it there. Mm-hmm. It will only retrieve certain data.
Got it.
Because otherwise, if everyone knew where your if everyone knew where your Twitter was, they could post whatever information they want from there and be like, flash me your boobs will become the last tweet, and they'll grab it. Because the scripts don't know any better, so you can actually.
Hang on. So it's is it like a protected Twitter account or something that it uses?
Mm-hmm. You can totally do it that way. You could do You could totally do private Twitters.
So like
the ironic thing, though, even though I did a private Twitter, there are now DJs and record labels and artists and certain music companies that have noticed what's going on because it's just song title after song title after song title. And I actually had a group from the 90s. I'll tell the group. I had that old group, what was the name of it? Alternate. That rave group from the 90s.
Yeah.
They actually noticed when I post a tweet went out saying that I played a re-edit of one of their songs. Mm-hmm. And they actually contacted me, which I think is actually really, really funny. Yeah. It's like, you're paying attention to this? This is just a little tool that I use. I'm not really using it for anything else, but they found it. They contacted me, which was kind of fun.
And you know how they're doing that? Shameless plug, probably my company that I work for now. It's Sprout Social. Go to sproutsocial.com. You can sign up for a free account if you want to basically search Twitter for your brand name or your hashtags that you associate with Drum Nation or what have you. They probably are listening for that stuff. So whenever it comes up, they get alerted or whatnot. So
totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we are at the 2 hour mark almost.
Oh, we swerved for 2 hours. That's fierce.
I know that was fun. Audio glitches aside, but it wouldn't be a stream without a booty glitch or two. So
Exactly. Much love to DJ Ann for defining the glitch.
yes,
She is the reason why they exist. She gave it the name. It'll be the name forever. Much love to DJ Deanne.
yes, we love ourselves some DJ Deanne. So
Yes. Explosive Radio's in the house. How are you doing, baby?
Tommy Styles. Yes. Oh man, we have the whole fam here tonight.
Totally.
All right. I'm going to figure out, for those of you who are on Twitch, we need to figure out somebody to raid because it would not be a stream dashboard. Let's see.
Well, the Grues for Gixxer is going on right now, and that's probably the big thing on Twitch right now because one of our Twitch streamers is going through some major hard times right now, and oh my goodness, yes, if you did it right now, Bobby Shaw, the legendary Bobby Shaw, Bobby Promo is streaming right now.
Perfect.
And it would be kind of really hard to just hit him up right now because I'm sure whenever he's pulled from his vault of records, it's gonna be proper. It's gonna be proper.
It's gonna be over. All right, let's go. All right, here we go, Raiders. Make sure to let them know who sent you. All right. And for those of you who are still sticking around on Facebook, etc., come over to Twitch and let's go to Bobby Promo. All right. See y'all there. Bye. Right. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you so much. I know it's been a long week, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Papa.
Yeah, we had some fun. All right. See you later.
Oh, totally. Take care, guys.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all.
Yeah.
All right.
Girl.